Welcome, dear friends, to the 38th class of the Bhagavad Gita. We are studying chapter 4. And in the last couple of classes, we have covered from shlokas number 22 to 28. And from 23 shloka onwards, Krishna starts to enumerate the oblations, the offerings or the sacrifices that a devotee who is in quest of or is yearning for self-realization can do to achieve that state of bliss. And what we did in the last class is we are going to reiterate that. So till now, Krishna has already told us about 10 forms of sacrifices or offerings. And let's study those and then we will move on to the next two. So from shloka numbers 25 to 30, Krishna tells us 12 ways or 12 types of offerings which we can perform so as to attain self-realization in this life. So the first 10 that he talked about were, so the first was an offering to the devas or to the astral deities. The second offering was the offering of the little self, the little egoic self into the absolute self or the atman or spirit. The third is the offering of the power of the senses into the inner light of awakening through the practice of self-control. The fourth offering is the offering of the sense object or the seeing, hearing, etc. into the power of the senses. The fifth is the offering of prana as well as all our activities to the absolute self, to the atman, means the path of the jnana yogi, which includes shravanam, mananam, nididhyasana, means listening, contemplating and meditating on the absolute reality, on brahman, on atman. The sixth was an offering of wealth. Seventh is the offering of self-discipline. Eighth is the performance of the various steps of Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga. Ninth is keeping strict vows. Now, these vows could be like the vow of silence or the vow of telling yourself that, you're not going to lie, or certain, fasting on mental attitudes, like you can say that today I will not get angry, or today I will not get irritable, today I will not feel fearful. So for however much of time, you kind of take a sankalpa, or you tell yourself, you take a vow that I'm not going to do this, I'm going to refrain and control myself from doing any negative activity, or possibly I will take the vow of doing something positive for a particular frame of time. So that is also a type of offering. And number 10 was the study of the self and acquiring scriptural wisdom, and which is what we are doing exactly. Now, it is very interesting that all of the mentioned 10 sacrifices so far, most of us are already doing to some degree. So, for example, we are practicing self-control, we are practicing restraint of the senses, we are practicing to an extent self-discipline, we are trying to follow the Patanjali's Ashtanga Yoga, we are reading the scriptures, and many of us are also offering our wealth as energy in either charity or in for the Guru's work or in some religious or spiritual, way. We are using our money, we are sharing with others, we are also sharing our talents, we are sharing our knowledge. So most of us to varying degrees are already performing these sacrifices. And let us now go on to the next shloka, shloka number 29, which is especially important for Kriya Yogis, because it is actually describing and telling us how this can be used, how a pranayama or a deep meditation technique like Kriya Yoga can be used as an offering to enhance our spiritual evolution and to reach the final goal of self-realization. So let's read shloka number 29. अपाने जुवति प्राणं प्राणे अपानं तथा परें प्राणापान गतिरुद्ध्वा प्राणायाम परायणा. अन्य भक्त प्राण के भीतर जाते श्वास को अपान के बाहर जाते प्रश्वास में तथा अपान के बाहर जाते प्रश्वास को प्राण के भीतर जाते श्वास में हवन करते हैं। और इस प्रकार प्राणायाम यानी क्रिया योग की प्राण शक्ति पर नियंत्रण की प्रविधि के निष्ठावान अभ्यास द्वारा श्वास एवं प्रश्वास के कारण को रोक देते हैं, यानी सांस लेना अनावश्यक बना देते हैं। Other devotees offer as sacrifice the incoming breath of prana in the outgoing breath of apana, and the outgoing breath of apana in the incoming breath of prana, thus arresting the cause of inhalation and exhalation, rendering breath unnecessary. By intent practice of pranayam, the life control technique of Kriya Yoga. So this is very, very encouraging to all Kriya Yogis. And I remember receiving this question at the end of the last class that, no, we are Kriya Yogis. Are we also doing some kind of an offering? And of course, this shloka now comes in and says, yes, this is a form of an offering, of a sacrifice. And we have studied how this is actually the real fire rite, the real yagya, the inner yagya that we can perform and have, how it can lead to self-realization. And of course, Master explains that prana and yama means prana is life force and yama means control. So although people think that breath work is pranayam, but because breath and prana are closely related, yet the actual pranayam is the ability to control the life force or the life current within your body. And that is achieved in part by achieving breath control. So indirectly, people talk of breathing exercises as pranayam. But as yogis, we must understand the true meaning of pranayam. So now we have to understand prana at two levels. One is the cosmic level. So everything that exists in the cosmos, in the multifold universes, all this vibratory energy is the cosmic prana, is the para prakriti, is the manifestation of Divine Mother, is the Om, the living reality of Om. And this entire universe is filled with life force, is alive. It is said that every atom is alive, and in fact, every atom has been endowed with individuality. So all of this around the universe around you, and you including, is made up of prana shakti, is vibrating with that prana shakti. And now this cosmic prana is also coming into the individual. So that prana which enlivens the body of a creature, it could be the animal, it could be the plant, and it could be, for us it is a specific prana which enlivens our bodily system. So then there is this cosmic prana and there is the individual prana. Now in very simple terms, we think that the individual prana in our bodies is we receive it by eating food and by the oxygen that we are breathing in. So that is what is giving us energy, and that is how the life force is functioning. But the yogis say that the primary source of life force is actually the cosmic prana, the cosmic life force. And the yogi, by techniques of meditation and by techniques of pranayama, can directly access this cosmic prana via the medulla, via the mouth of God, as is described in the Bible. And by certain techniques and concentration, one can draw cosmic prana into the body. And this is actually the primary source. And slowly, as the yogi performs pranayama and deepens his practice, he can slowly, in fact, reduce his dependency and need for food, and can completely rely on the primary source of prana, which is the cosmic prana. And that is how the stories that we have heard, that yogis have been in a meditative pose for months without eating anything, without drinking anything, is because they are able to tap into that primary source of cosmic prana. And also their bodies go into a kind of a suspended animation where they do not need as much energy as we need on a daily basis to make all the organ systems function, to digest food, and so on and so forth. So that can be bypassed by accessing prana directly. And the simplest and the easiest way that Paramahansa Yogananda has taught us to access cosmic prana is the energization exercises. These exercises, which is a set of 39 exercises, can be performed under all situations by all people, and they can, in fact, by the exercise of willpower. And Master said that greater the willpower, greater the flow of energy, and greater the flow of energy, the greater the energy in your body, the more joy you will feel. So practicing energization exercises as a, not only as a startup on the path of Kriya Yoga, but all those adept Kriya Yogis who already be on the path for many years must also regularly do their energization exercises, because yes, definitely, it truly accesses that cosmic prana by the power of our own will, and it energizes our own body. Okay, so now let's understand what is being said in this shloka. What Master says further about prana is, he says, prana is an intelligent force, but has no consciousness in the empirical nor transcendental sense. It is the power lodged between soul and matter. So it is, prana is that which helps the soul to express in this world, because it is because of prana that the matter can actually move. Any motion is possible in the moving in matter because of the movement of prana, and prana is under the control of the soul. The soul can exist without prana, but prana in the body cannot exist without a soul as its substratum. Now, the specific prana, coming to the individualized prana. So when we say that the prana is flowing through my body, now the yogis have described this prana being divided into actually 5 subparts, because there are so many functions that the body has to perform. So the same prana which enters the body, and that entering prana is also called prana itself. So the prana that enters the body with the inhaling breath, that is called prana. The function is, this is a crystalline force that helps all the other subsets of functions to happen. And what is apana then? So apana is that part of subset or subpart of prana which helps in the excretory function of the body to happen. Then there is vyana. Vyana is responsible for the circulatory function of the prana. Then there is samana, and samana is responsible for digestion, for absorption, for assimilation. And finally, there is udana. Udana is that interesting part of prana which allows differentiation of cells. So for example, we eat food and that is converted into energy. Now that same energy can construct different types of cells, and the intelligence and the pranic intelligence that allows this one cell to become a liver cell, and another cell to become a bone cell, another cell to become a skin cell. So basically go into a specialized function. So it is said that it is the function of the udana to cause this specific differentiation. So again, to name all these 5 is, one is prana, second is apana, third is vyan, fourth is saman, and fifth is udan. And this is basically, again, actually one prana, but just to enumerate, because in terms of the functions that it performs in the body, it is described as such. And there are so many pranayamic exercises, meaning breathwork exercises, which can target one particular type of prana out of these 5 and improve and harmonize that. So there will be certain pranayams which will work only on vyana, which will only work on samana, and means predominantly work on one of these pranas and improve them. And in fact, if you have learned even a little bit of hatha yoga from a trained person, that trained person can actually tell you that even in a single breath, you can focus on different chakras in your body, and to, you can activate a particular subset of that prana in every breath. So, but for that, you have to be very, very alert, because in the first place, we are not even alert and aware that our breathing is going on, leave alone understanding the various subparts of that breath or the subparts of the prana. So yogi is very alert, very aware, and he's conscious of what he's doing, and he can feel the different pranas, and he can focus on one of them and can enhance and harmonize the function of these subsets of pranas. Okay, so now this particular shloka, shloka number 29, is addressing two of these 5 pranas. This is the prana and the apana. So what does Master say about them? He says the apana current flows from the point between the eyebrows to the coccyx. So this is a downwardly flowing current, and it distributes itself through the coccygeal center, means through the Mooladhara, to the sensory and motor nerves and keeps the consciousness of man delusively tied to the body. The apan current is restless and engrosses man in sensory experiences. Now, about the pran. So, pran flows from the coccyx upwards towards the spiritual eye, and it is the main current. The nature of this life current is calm. It withdraws inwardly the devotee's attention. During sleep, in wakeful state, and in meditation, it helps to unite the soul with spirit at the Kutastha center in the brain. Now, interestingly, what the physical sciences say is that when we breathe, when we inhale and we take in oxygen, then in the presence of that oxygen, the food that we have eaten is then the molecules of glucose are converted into ATPs or energy packets, and it is that energy which is causing the rest of the body to function. But the yogic science has a slightly different anatomy and physiology. What the yogic science says is that when there is the rise of the pranic current in the astral spine, from the coccyx to the point between the eyebrows, which is the prana current, it is then that the physical inhalation happens. And when the astral current or the pranic current goes down from the spiritual eye towards the coccyx, it is then that the physical exhalation begins. So, of course, we know the thought, energy, and matter model of creation, and we know, therefore, that it is first the movement of electricity or prana or life force, which then can actually make the matter enliven and work. And therefore, with the movement of these pranic currents, then the inhalation and exhalation happen. And it is then of course, the food and oxygen source of energy come into play. But if you work directly with prana and apan, that can also access the primary source of energy into the body, which is the cosmic prana. So now it is said that inspiration and expiration go on largely involuntarily through one's life. So long as the prana pulls the inhaling breath into the lungs, man lives. Whenever the downwardly flowing current, that is apana, in the exhalation becomes more powerful, man dies. So there is an interesting observation if you observe a person who is on his deathbed and is taking his or her last breaths, it is seen that the person takes a final long exhalation, and then it doesn't inhale again. So after that final long apana, that apan draws out the current, and after that there is no inhalation happening. On the other hand, when the child is born, what does the child do? It takes the first inhalation. So the prana is drawn with the first inhalation, and then at death, the apana draws out all the prana of the life force with that apana takes away, the prana that was creating causing the body to live, to move, and so on and so forth. So the body drops dead because the apana is removed from the body. And this is how Master says, and mostly actually we are not aware that we are breathing in, breathing out. It is happening. We are so much engrossed in our own thoughts and our own desires and our own life of the daily world, that so many problems we have, so many worries, that we forget the most important thing that is happening all the time, which is causing our body to actually function. And of course, in meditation, the yogi then brings his attention to the breath. But I would say that every and any time I start to feel restless during the day, or I feel stressed out or worried, or any kind of a negative emotion is trying to invade upon my calmness, I will immediately try to change the pattern of my breath. So that is the point. whenever you have any of these negative emotions or a stressful situation, immediately bring your attention to the breath. Observe how it is going. Consciously lengthen the inhalation and exhalation. Take some time to actually bring the inhalation and exhalation of equal length. And once you are able to do so, this takes only 2 to 3 minutes. You will find that your control over the emotion has started to happen, and the emotion does not torture you anymore, and that you can, slowly become master of this. And of course, you can use simple things like diaphragmatic breathing or alternate nostril breathing or even count breathing. In that moment of stress, you will find that all these tools and techniques are there for our rescue. They will improve our daily life, but we forget to use these tools. That is the problem. So, but what we can do is, by being alert and by accessing these tools regularly. So this also comes by practice. Everything is like a habit pattern. So multiple times when you use this technique of in stress, remembering to come to your breath and then using your breath, and automatically after a few days, you will find that as soon as your mind starts to go into restlessness, there is a memory in you which tells you that, oh, if I breathe correctly, I will be able to calm down and I will be able to control my emotions. And therefore, the tools and techniques start to kick in. But you have to create that habit pattern consciously of saying, no, let me correct my breath, because by correcting the breath, you harmonize the prana. By doing that, mind control automatically happens, and this teaching comes to our rescue. Okay. So then talking about death, what Master says is the apana current pulls the astral body out of the physical body. When the final breath leaves the body through the action of the outgoing current apana, the astral body follows it to an astral world. It is thus said that the human breath knots the soul to the body. Pranayama is suggested by the Bhagavad Gita as a universally suitable method for man to release his soul from the bondage of breath. Now he comes specifically to Kriya Yoga Pranayama. He says, Kriya Yoga Pranayama stops the bodily decay associated with apana, manifest in the exhaling breath by fresh oblations of life force distilled from the inhaling breath. So what is he saying here? He's saying that when you performed a technique like Kriya Yoga, then the incoming breath, the prana which comes along with the incoming breath, the body is able to distill a lot of life force from that prana as compared to a normal breath. And because there is an extra pranic infusion in the body, therefore the decay that normally happens over years with repeated apana, that is arrested for a Kriya Yogi, or that is decelerated or slowed down for the Kriya Yogi. So, and we have heard that how Kriya Yoga can actually improve your repair phenomenon, your relaxation phenomenon. It can arrest decay and it can slow down these processes which cause that arrest. And if you observe yogis around you as compared to other people, you will find that yogis do tend to look, more energetic, more enthusiastic. There is a shine in their eyes. They are more, full of life, and they also look relatively younger for their age. It is a universal phenomenon, and it is a well-known phenomenon. There is no, surprise about it. The Ayurveda talks about it, and all the scriptures talk about it, that how specific pranayama techniques can actually reduce decay or decelerate decay and enhance the length of your life. It can enhance the quality of your life, and so on and so forth. Okay. So then Master says, this practice, means Kriya Yoga, enables the devotee to dispel the illusion of growth and decay of the body as flesh. He then realizes that it is made of lifetrons. So if you keep practicing Kriya Yoga for a length of time, and you do that repeatedly and sincerely, you start to feel that your body is not just the solid bone and flesh and muscles, but you start to feel that it is enlivened, it has more of lifetrons, it is more of just a vibrating reality. So you start to feel that, you start to transcend the flesh consciousness, and you start to go towards the pranic consciousness mode. You start to feel that each cell of your body is not separately, but you can see that it is not as heavy as you think it is. Even the pains in your body. So if a person is having some pain in the body, sits for Kriya Yoga, is able to achieve some level of pranic control, finds that the pain is also reduced. So all of this is because pranayam causes a withdrawal of energy from the periphery and brings it to the central spine. And then, of course, as Master has taught us, we can take it towards our brain. Doing that, it automatically improves the functioning of the body, and it improves our overall well-being as well. And what Master is saying here is that it makes you realize. So till now we have read the theory that we are made up of atoms, and electrons are whirling around neutrons, and there are subatomic particles, and although what appears to be solid is not really solid. So but then how to realize this that is what Master is teaching here. By the technique of Kriya Yoga, the yogi can actually start to feel that his solid, liquid, and all of these parts of his body are actually basically lifetronic. They are vibrating energy. And then he can also feel the continuity of that energy of his body with the rest of the world or universe around him. And that is how flesh consciousness can be transcended. And only then we move in the direction of understanding that we are the soul. We are not this body. We are not this mind. We are not this breath, but we are that pure witness consciousness, for which all these experiences are designed, and which is actually untouched by all these experiences. That changeless reality behind all change. We move in the direction of realizing that self once we understand that our body is made of lifetrons. Then Master says, attaining this power. So once the yogi has understood that his body is not as solid as it appears, it is made of lifetrons, then the yogi has the option of leaving the physical dream body on earth to disintegrate into cosmic atoms, or he can keep his dream body on earth indefinitely like Babaji. So of course, what Master is talking here is for very, very advanced devotees, for adepts, for who have performed Kriya for lifetimes and have gained control over their atoms, over the elements of creation and so on, and who then at will can either choose to let go of their body and go back into the atoms and into the Panchatattva, or like Babaji, who can choose to maintain and hold on to the atoms at will and continue to exist. And we know the story in the autobiography that how at the behest of Mataji, who is sister of Babaji, she requested him not to let his body dissolve into spirit, and therefore many devotees have had darshan of Babaji in that manner. Okay, so this brings us to shloka number 30. अपरे नियताहारा प्राणान् प्राणेषु जुह्वति सर्वेप्येते यज्ञविदो यज्ञक्षपित्तकल्मषा. अन्य भक्त उचित आहार के नियमन द्वारा सभी प्रकार के प्राणों और उनकी क्रियाओं को एक मुख्य प्राण की अग्नि में आहुति के रूप में अर्पण करते हैं. ऐसे सभी भक्त सभी पूर्वगामी यज्ञों में कुशल, उनके कार्मिक पापों को भस्म करने वाले वास्तविक ज्ञान के यज्ञ के ज्ञाता हैं. Other devotees, by a scheme of proper diet, offer all the different kinds of prana and their functions as oblations in the fire of the one common prana. All such devotees, adepts in all the foregoing yagyas, are knowers of the true fire ceremony of wisdom that consumes their karmic sins. Okay, So here, a very important aspect of spiritual life is brought in, and that is food. And this shloka has meanings at two levels. One is the general, literal meaning of the shloka, and one is the esoteric meaning of the shloka, where a different kind of food is being talked about. So talking about the general, literal meaning, and says that some people, use regulated diets or controlled diets, or practices like fasting, and they offer all of this activity as sacrifice, as oblation into the true fire of wisdom. And of course, we know the importance of having a sattvic diet on the spiritual path is very necessary, because for a meditator, it is important that not only does the prana of his body move in harmony so that he can keep his attention not on the body but on higher states of consciousness, but also the yogi wants that he should be alert and awake during his meditation, or he should not go into sleep, and nor should he go into the restless state of the mind. So he needs calmness, he needs stability, and he needs alertness and awareness, and to prevent sleep. So if we want to achieve such a state of the body and mind, it is essential that we adhere to a sattvic diet. And not only do we adhere to a sattvic diet, but also we practice oblations like fasting. We practice intermittent fasting or full fasting depending on our own composition. And of course, Sri Yukteswarji has advised us to follow a properitorian diet. So once we understand the constitution of our own body as to what suits us, what does not suit us, once we fix a simple proper diet, then it is not so important to keep so fixed and be so fadist about, so particular about diet, that oh no, today I have not eaten an avocado, what will happen to my health? Or today I should have had that multivitamin, I haven't had it, what will happen? So don't be a faddist or a very fixed person. Set a simple diet, set a sattvic diet, set a proper diet, a balanced diet for yourself, knowing the composition of your body and understanding what suits you, and then forget it. And then sometimes even forego that diet, like in fasting. So that is a process of offering. And master said that not only the physical food, but the prana that you take in while energization exercises or exposure to sunshine, all of this will give you energy. And not only that, he said the right mental attitude and the right thoughts in your mind are also your food. And just look at us in this world. We think of food as only the food that we eat through our mouth. But actually, food is whatever energy or data we are putting into our system from the universe. So whatever we are seeing, whatever data is going through our visual apparatus, whatever sounds are going inside our ears, whatever we are touching, whatever we are smelling, whatever we are tasting, all of that in a sense is the diet that we take in. And all of that is going to affect our state of mind. And all of that is going to tell us or help us or obstruct our way towards self-realization. Because the lighter our pranic system, the lesser heaviness it has to handle, the easily it will be harmonized. But if you put in so many toxins from the outside world, including all these different sensual datas, then you have to work more. All the restlessness that is created by all the sensory data, is going to clean it? You have to clean it some day. And of course, for cleaning, we have all the types of yogas, and we have pranayama, and we have so many other things. But the point is, why should we put in junk into our system? Now, we should remember, this is what I tell children who come to my clinic and who are suffering from abdominal pain, and, who have eaten things from outside, or they have the habit of eating junk food and eating chips and biscuits. I ask them, is your body a dustbin? Because the place of junk is, we put it in a dustbin. So why are we treating our systems as dustbins? Why are we not able to differentiate what is the right diet for us, whether what we are reading, what we are listening, what we are smelling? Can we not differentiate? Have we not matured enough? Do we not have enough intelligence to decide and to take, so that we can take in the right things? So this is the second aspect of diet that is being talked about. Also, the third esoteric aspect of diet, which is mentioned in this shloka, is then our master says that when we are able to harmonize the prana and the apana, So when the inhaling breath and the exhaling breath, as described in shloka number 29, once that is neutralized, then automatically there is a surge of prana in the astral spine. So of course, when the Ida and the Pingala are neutralized, the energy rises in the Sushumna, and that is the real food which is going towards the brain. So at different levels, we need to regulate our diet in the body, regulate the diet in the terms of the breathing pattern that we're having, regulate our diet in the terms of the sensual data, in terms of the thoughts that we are having in the mind, in terms of the company that we are keeping around us, and in terms of the real prana or the real astral life force that we can bring in by neutralizing the prana and the apana. So such is the importance of right breathing, of right food, and these are the things we may tend to take very casually and ignore, and we may tell ourselves, oh, I'm reading the scripture, oh, I'm performing Kriya Yoga to so many numbers, oh, I'm doing this. But if I'm eating any food that is available to me without considering its quality, then again I'm basically prolonging the length of time that it will take me to attain my goal. So of course we know that Master said that we need a pure heart and not a pure stomach to realize God in the end, but a pure stomach helps to enhance or accelerate the process. So as yogis or as seekers of truth, we must do all that is possible, that is available for us to hasten our soul evolution, or basically evolution of consciousness into that absolute consciousness, because soul is anyway that pure existence. Okay. So this brings us to the next shloka, which is shloka number 31. Yagyashishtamrita bhujo yanti brahma sanatanam nayam loko satyayagyasya kuto anya kuru satam. इनमें से किसी भी यज्ञ के अवशिष्ट अमृत का उपभोग करके वे योगी अनंत ब्रह्म को प्राप्त होते हैं, परंतु ब्रह्म की यह अनुभूति वास्तविक आध्यात्मिक यज्ञों को न करने वाले सामान्य सांसारिक लोगों को प्राप्त नहीं होती। हे कुरुश्रेष्ठ, वास्तविक यज्ञ के बिना अन्य कोई अच्छा लोक, कोई उच्चतर जीवन अथवा चेतना की उन्नत अवस्था कैसे प्राप्त होगी? By partaking of the nectar remnant of any of these spiritual fire ceremonies, the yogis go to the infinite spirit or Brahman. But this realization of spirit belongs not to ordinary men of this world who are non-performers of the true spiritual rites. Without real sacrifice, O flower of Kurus Arjuna, whence come any better world, any better existence, or elevated state of consciousness? So, this shloka is clearly comparing the yogi with a non-performer of a spiritual or sacrificial rite. And he is saying, Krishna is saying that without any form of offering or sacrifice or performance of a specific type of self-discipline, you cannot achieve self-realization. It has been clearly said in this shloka. So he is not saying that you have to perform only one particular or you have to perform all of them. Unless you perform all of these types of sacrifices, you will not be able to attain self-realization. But he is saying you cannot achieve any good if you are not able to do any kind of sacrifice or austerity or tapasya, or if you don't want to put in your time and energy into your soul evolution, then how are you going to really achieve anything? So it's a very, very simple thing. When we talk of tapasya or austerity, is no big rocket science. We know that if we have kept a goal in mind, if we want to clear an exam, then automatically we have to leave the other activities like partying, meeting friends, being on the phone. We have to focus our mind on the studies. Only then can we actually clear our exam. So similarly, if we have kept the goal of self-realization in our mind, then we have to do any one or multiple of these activities that have been been mentioned, and because they are going to take us into spirit, into Brahman, into the state of self-realization. And for people who do not want to invest any time, energy, effort, this is not going to happen. So ask yourself again. Firstly, am I doing any specific meditative activity? Am I doing it regularly and sincerely? And am I increasing the depth of that activity? Also, am I doing the meditative practice with love? So for some, you start on the meditative part with a lot of enthusiasm. Initial months, you are doing a lot of activity and you're very, very particular about your routine. But as the time passes, your sincerity fizzles out and you say, oh, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it tomorrow. So you start procrastination. Even the depth of your practice starts to reduce. So then you will come to the same point where a non-performer of the sacrificial rite is standing. And Krishna is clearly saying, if you are not doing any kind of sacrifice, then you are not going to attain the highest. It is very, very simple. So let's understand a little more on this, what Master wants us to understand here. He says, without the inner transformation of self-realization, men remain identified with the misery-making experiences of the body. They lose not only infinite bliss, but also the joys of a balanced, normal life, even in this world. So not only are we talking of self-realization, but any person who is not willing to put any self-effort cannot even have the satisfaction of having lived a good human life. So if you want to live a good human life, then there are certain disciplines that have to be followed, the certain actions that must be performed, and certain devotional attitudes that must be kept, because only and only then will you be able to, alive enough that you will be able to enjoy this life as it is and then go beyond the pleasure and pain of this life. For a person who is not putting any effort, is tamasic, is just living an animalistic existence and is just instinctive. And then, of course, as we have read earlier, then it is only time, only the passage of time that actually can bring such a person to a relatively higher state of consciousness over so many lifetimes, where he can start to at least think that I must do something. And very interestingly, I've read somewhere that Swami Vivekananda said that as compared to a lazy person, a thief is better. So a thief is a rajasic person and a lazy person is a tamasic person. Why? Because the thief is using his prana shakti, he is using his thinking process, he is using his body in some way. It is only after doing that activity will he eventually realize that stealing does not give him the happiness that he is looking forward. But for a person who is lazy, who is not going to understand anything. So you must do something. And of course, we have read earlier that how inaction is not a choice, that we must act in this world. And if we have to act, we might as well act wisely and correctly. And for our own higher good, we must perform these actions. So a list of 12 sacrifices has been given to us. And let us pick one of this. So for us, Master has already picked this one action of Kriya Yoga for us. And he says that studying various, so if you wholeheartedly pursue one of these sacrifices, for us it is Kriya Yoga, then it can take you to self-realization. And of course, as we said earlier, we are already performing the other sacrifices as well to certain degrees, to varying degrees. So that is why Master said, that our percentages are better, that this is a path that kind of guarantees that you will be taken to your own self-realization. But of course, it takes into account as to how much you truly yearn to be free and how much sincere you are in your practice. Okay. This brings us to shloka number 32. Evam bahuvidha yagya vitata brahmano mukhe karma jnana vidhitan sarvanevam gyatva vimokshase. इस प्रकार वेदों के ज्ञान मंदिर ब्रह्म के मुख में अनेक प्रकार के यज्ञों, ज्ञान के लिए अथवा भौतिक उद्देश्यों से किए गए यज्ञ का विस्तार हुआ है। उन सबको तुम कर्म जनित जानो और इस प्रकार समझकर और उन कर्मों को करने से तुम मुक्त हो जाओगे। Various spiritual ceremonies or yagyas are thus found in the wisdom temple of the Vedas. The Vedas are also called the mouth of Brahman. Know them all to be the offspring of action. And understanding this, and by the performance of those actions, thou shalt find salvation. So now this is kind of, summarizing. It is saying that the Vedas have already given us the right actions that are going to take us to moksha, to liberation. So it is important that we study what actions have been prescribed by the Vedas. Secondly, or else we can learn from God realized masters or yogis. And thirdly, some of these actions can also be realized by intuition. So, if following any of these things means either learning from the scriptures, from the Vedas, or learning from a guru, or by intuitively realizing. So, for example, all of us intuitively realize that kindness is better than, wrathfulness. All of us know that truth is better than lying. So, all of this intuitively, that knowledge of the soul is already, wisdom is there. And of course, if we read scripture, we find more of it. So, following any of this, if we perform the sacrifices that have been mentioned previously in the shlokas, then he says that moksha will be guaranteed, that you will get liberation. So practice the particular method of spiritual ceremony most suitable for oneself and pursue it wholeheartedly. You will attain the goal of liberation. So again, this is a promise from the guru. It is a promise of the scripture, and therefore taking it to heart, knowing that we have the key to the kingdom of God and we must use it by our daily practice. The yogi who performs the inner rite of spiritual awakening, through which ascension to spirit is attained, finds the first altar of spirit at the coccygeal center, the Muladhara chakra. This center is called the earth chakra. It is the seat of creation of the earthly body and its activities. The opening of the astral tube in the coccygeal chakra is referred to the mouth of Brahman. So here now we have two meanings of mouth of Brahman. One is that the Vedas are speaking the wisdom of the silent God. So Vedas are the mouth of Brahman. The second, for the yogi, for the Kriya yogi especially, is saying that when you want to ascend, when the soul wants to ascend back into spirit, the first chakra that it has to come to is the coccygeal chakra, the Muladhara chakra. And this is called the mouth of Brahman because, of course, we know that when the prana and the apan are neutralized and the kundalini is activated, then it has to first pass through this Muladhara chakra. And that is why this is also referred to as the mouth of Brahman. Then he says, achieving this, he realizes that all spiritual fire ceremonies are born of spiritual activities. Their true symbolic significance can be realized only by concentrating on the wisdom underlying the performance of the sacrifice. So, very important here. What is he saying? He is saying that the real significance of an action is not the action itself, but the essence of the action, the intent of the action, the attitude of the action. So when you are performing Kriya Yoga, so firstly, one has to understand that Kriya Yoga is not the goal. The goal is self-realization. So Kriya Yoga is a technique, but then with what attitude are you performing that Kriya Yoga? To what end? Why are you working with your mind or with your breath or whatever technique you are using? Why you are doing that? What is it going to help you to achieve? And what is it your heart's feeling? What should be the bhav when you perform this? So what is the essence? You must ask yourself, why am I doing Kriya Yoga? Why am I doing any form of meditative activity? Why am I following any guru in the first place? Because I want moksha. So once that goal is clear, then you will automatically not settle for less. Then you will, when your meditation brings about a little peace for some days, you will not rest at that. You will not say this is sufficient. You will continue to move forward because you know that your set goal was moksha. And therefore, you will continue your practices. So this is a reminder for all of us not to settle for less. And similarly, I've read Ramakrishna Paramahansa saying that, a devotee he gives the example of a forest. So suppose you are entering a forest and you find that the forest is a sandalwood forest. And of course, there is a beautiful fragrance and you're really enjoying the shade of the trees and you're really enjoying the presence of that forest. He says, do not stop there. Go on further. As you cross the sandalwood forest, you will come to an area where the forest is a silver forest. So there are mines of silver in that area, and you enjoy the splendor of that area. But still, don't rest here, don't settle here. Go forward, and you will come to a place where there are gold mines. And so you will enjoy the splendor of this area, but still you are not to stop here. Go further till you reach the diamond of self-realization. So don't just think that whatever you're doing is to make this little life a little more easy, more comfortable, more pleasant, because this is a dream, this is a drama, this is temporary. And soon after the pleasure or the pleasing sensation has gone, the shock will come, the tragedy will come, the sadness will come, and again you will be drawn back into that, same up and down, the duality of this world. So continue your practices. Once you have picked up a type of sacrifice, once you have come to the Guru, then follow it with all your heart. The ultimate purpose of any yajna is liberation. The true devotee knows that spiritual activity alone can bestow salvation. Therefore, he performs spiritual actions, he receives the resultant inner perceptions, and he becomes liberated. This brings us to a very, very important shloka. It's shloka number 33. Shreyan dravyamaya dagyaj jnana yagya parantapa sarvam karma khilam partha jnane parisamapyate. हे परंतप, आध्यात्मिक ज्ञान यज्ञ किसी भी द्रव्यमय यज्ञ की अपेक्षा श्रेष्ठ है। समग्र कर्म, कार्य, कारण, कर्म का प्रभाव ज्ञान से समाप्त हो जाता है। The spiritual fire ceremony of wisdom, O scorcher of foes Arjuna, is superior to any material ritual. All actions in its entirety, that is the act, the cause, and the karmic effect, is consummated in wisdom. So, he is saying that wisdom, once you gain wisdom, now that is superior. The act of gaining wisdom, whatever action you do in the direction of gaining wisdom, is higher than an outward activity that you do. Because once wisdom dawns upon you, and what do we mean when we say wisdom? Wisdom is that light which tells you that you are the immortal soul. So once that wisdom dawns upon you, the veil of delusion is washed away. You start to understand that you were never the doer. And therefore, because you were never the doer, therefore no karma belongs to you. And because no karma belongs to you, no karma phala belongs to you. So once wisdom dawns upon you, that is the purifier, and it releases you from the cycle of karma and karma phala, the cause and the effect. And of course, we know cause and effect is the cyclical machinery of the cosmos that keeps the soul bound. And only by understanding, so by wisdom, you will understand how you can transcend this wheel of birth and death, how you can transcend this wheel of cause and effect. And that wisdom, how will you gain? By whatever has been said previously, you will gain this wisdom by self-effort, by performing certain sacrifices, by putting in all your attention, by putting in your heart, by putting in your intent, putting in your sincerity. All of that you bring into your spiritual practice. And it is clearly said that without spiritual practice, nothing is going to happen. So you bring all of yourself and energy into your spiritual practice, and then you can achieve this wisdom. This once achieved, this wisdom will wipe away all your actions and their results, all the future births and deaths that you want to eventually exit from. Now, if you don't want to exit from births and deaths, then of course all of this teaching is not for you, and you can go into the world and do what you like to do. Okay. So Master says, by interiorization of the mind, the devotee performs the highest rite of casting the senses into the inner fire of wisdom. He has taken the quickest path to the infinite. So I will just read the next shloka, but we will go into its explanation later. And this is very, very important shloka for all disciples of a great master. Okay. So shloka number 34. Tadiddhi pranipatena pariprashnen sevaya updekshanti te jnanam ज्ञानिनस्तत्वदर्शिना। स्वयं को गुरु के प्रति समर्पित करके, गुरु और अपनी आंतरिक अनुभूति से प्रश्न करके तथा गुरु की सेवा करके इसे समझो, ये तत्वदर्शी ज्ञानी संत तुम्हें वह ज्ञान प्रदान करेंगे. Understand this by surrendering thyself to the Guru, by questioning the Guru and thine own inner perception, and by service to the Guru. The sages who have realized truth will impart that wisdom to thee. So I can say we are at the right place at the right time. We are at the feet of our Guru. We know that our self-realized Guru has the power to transmit his realization upon all of us. And he is mentioning three methods of gaining that knowledge. And one is, of course, questioning the Guru. The other is surrendering to the Guru. And the third is service to the Guru. And we will discuss all of these in the next class. But of course, we can take a moment and we can thank Paramahansa Yogananda ji to have come into our life, to be that channel to the infinite. He is that door which will open the channel from our little human consciousness to that infinite consciousness. And as said by Sri Krishna in the Gita, that you need the Guru, and it is the Guru who will, by imparting his own realization, will set us free. With that thought, dear friends, we will end today's class and we will share the power and blessings of these teachings with all souls everywhere. Let us pray together. Divine Mother, beloved Krishna, thou art omnipresent. Thou art in all thy children. Manifest thy healing presence in all bodies, all minds, and all souls. Divine Mother, beloved Krishna, great Gurus, may thy love shine forever on the sanctuary of our devotion, and may we be able to awaken thy love in all true hearts. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.